For more on this, let's bring in ABC News political reporter Brittany Shepard. So, Brittany, we heard in Steve's piece that David Perdue, who was endorsed by former President Trump, has attacked Governor Kemp, falsely claiming that Kemp allowed Democrats to steal the election. So how are false claims about the 2020 election still impacting these races?
You know, Kira, tonight in Georgia, election denying and the big lie are going to be the marquee event all the way down the ticket. Let's start at the top of the ticket with the governor's race, like we just heard. David Perdue, under Trump, has been one of the most vocal big lie supporters, has been attacking Brian Kemp since the beginning of the campaign, not only slamming him as a rhino, a Republican in name only, and is surely going to be testing Georgia voters to see how much the big lie impacts folks at the ballot box. You know, David Perdue is running behind Kemp by about 10, 15, 20 points in some of these national polls. So it's not looking good for Trump's influence. If you go down below Brian Kemp, I think the most important race is going to be Secretary of State. That is the state's chief elections race. And there, Brad Raffensperger is going to be fighting off former Representative Jody Hice, who has even told reporters that he is willing to decertify the 2020 elections. I want to say that that's physically impossible and, of course, very worrisome for democracy. And then lower on the ticket for Senate, we see Herschel Walker. He hasn't quite embraced the big lie in the same way as other Trump-endorsed Republicans, but he has sowed some questionable election integrity policies, and I think is willing to bow for as deep and as long as Trump wants when it comes to election denying. I think it'll be key to see what Georgia voters want tonight.
And it's not just the governor's race. There are plenty of other races happening. What else are you keeping your eye on?
I think we're keeping our eye on, like I said, all of those Republican marquee races. And we're also going to be keeping our eye on, I think, one of the most public political divorces that we're seeing play out. That's with Donald Trump and Vice President Mike Pence. You're seeing that their political relationship unravel. Mike Pence was in Georgia last night stumping for Brian Kemp. We just heard Donald Trump stumping for David Perdue. I think we're seeing an early political 2024 race for Mike Pence, and it's a true test of Trump's kingmaker ability. We saw with the Pennsylvania primaries, Dr. Oz might be losing. I think that might go off to a runoff. And I think a lot of Republicans, mainstream Republicans, are wondering if Donald Trump really has the juice that he promised he has. And I think if we see these failures for Herschel Walker, for Brian Kemp, for Trump, that it'll be pretty major.
And so our team on the ground in Georgia actually had a chance to speak with Stacey Abrams about the impact of early voting. Let's take a listen, Brittany.
Make mistakes, even when you know what you're talking about. It's correlation without causation. We know that increased turnout has nothing to do with suppression. Suppression is about whether or not you make it difficult for voters to access the ballot. And in Georgia, we know difficulty has been put in place for too many Georgians who wanted to vote by mail. But despite the difficulty, despite the outrage that is legitimate and real, we know voters want their right to vote to be made real and be held sacrosanct. And so they are showing up. We know that voter turnout is not proof that there isn't suppression. It is the antidote to suppression. And that's why we're going to keep fighting to make certain every Georgia voter who wants to cast a ballot can do so.
So what do you make of her remarks and of the impact of early voting?
Well, I think that's going to be the Democratic Party line when we talk about Georgia turnout. I think, according to by Thursday, that there was over 800,000 Georgians who voted early. From this time in the last primary, that's about 3 times more Georgians coming out to vote. A lot of Democrats were really worried about this voting law. It's called SB 202. That would limit Democrats, and it seemed to target minority voters in the area. And there was some worry that folks wouldn't be able to get out into the polls in great numbers. Republicans are saying, look, we're seeing these historic turnout numbers, and so it put someone like Stacey Abrams and other Secretary of State candidates on the defensive.
All right, ABC News political reporter Brittany Shepard, thank you so much, Brittany.
Anytime.
And continuing coverage of the primary elections continues tonight on Prime. ABC News Live anchor Lindsay Davis will be speaking with lawmakers and bringing you the results live starting 7 p.m. Eastern Time.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.